Today, I want to talk to you briefly about AI generative media and the application within the legal community. So, there's been a huge amount of concern recently and public outcry and for lack of a better term, fear mongering of synthetic media and the threat of disinformation and believing what we see in visual media in society. So, this being a presentation about video, let's take a look at a video real quick.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
We could see there, and that video is actually a few years old. That highlights this AI and generative deepfake technology. For those that are not completely familiar with it, at a high level, when we say deepfake video, generative AI created video, AI altered video, face swap, we're really talking about using machine learning or AI, artificial intelligence, to generate hyper-realistic video of that can be manipulated video or created video. And then this is representative of what the concern is. This is what the public sees, and this is what they see online. This is what they see in their face, especially with the presidential election around the corner, of the ability for somebody to manipulate or provide disinformation online. This is another video showing a slightly different take on this and different example.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
That video was entirely created by AI. There was no Morgan Freeman face in there. It was using basically text prompts to say, create this ultra realistic of Morgan Freeman speaking. Now, I want to highlight something, that both those videos that we saw were highly produced, professionally done. This is what the public sees, and this is what they see the threat is online in terms of disinformation. And what I could believe on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok is what I could see real. Now, for those of us in this virtual room, I kind of want to center ourselves and think about our role when it comes to not disinformation, but authentication of media, because they're two separate topics. One is identifying what is real and what has been edited in society online. And authentication is really meeting the rules of evidence to claim whatever you're introducing is what it purports to be. And a lot of times I think we lose sight of this because nobody here, I think, would be daring enough to go into a courtroom and then type in a YouTube URL in the court and live show a streaming video and expect that to be your evidence. But that's what the public sees, those ending YouTube videos, those Facebook posts. So it entirely is a kind of a different approach to say now somebody has to introduce that evidence. Somebody has to make a claim how it was created. What it actually is it, and what is it purporting to be? The other thing I want to highlight, though, is despite focusing back to the fundamentals and the introduction of evidence, our juries absolutely have the expectation that media is easily altered. They see the stuff online, they believe just how easy it is to create the video of Barack Obama talking trash about Trump, or that Morgan Freeman video from scratch. So the need as it stands right now in May 2024, when we're recording this, is less about detection, I will pose, but more about proving authenticity, proving that things are real when faced with challenges to authentication in court. We find this most often in our child sexual abuse material prosecutions, and we see this increasing time and time again, almost on a weekly basis, where the challenge to the introduction of prosecution evidence is that evidence is not real, and this doesn't go to weight. They're challenged the authentication of that evidence, saying that it is not real, it is not what it purports to be, because it is synthetic or deepfake created. Now, how do we address that? Few things before we do so. There are a lot of things out there, a lot of tools and software out there, and I'm not advocating for, obviously I do work for a video authentication software company. I'm not advocating for my software or any others. I just want to highlight the fact that as AI grows in society, we're going to start seeing it grow a lot more in the legal sphere in terms of forensics even. I want to just note that there are established principles for explainable AI as terms of meeting any kind of Daubert or novel science standard is published by NIST that highlights these things that really makes AI explainable, which makes it demonstratively or demonstratively reliable. Now you can see some of these attributes on the screen here. In the interest of time, I'll say that in the course handout, there's a blog post that I wrote on this that talks about evaluating if you're going to use probabilistic or algorithmic tools or software or outputs or testimony from somebody that is using it, how to evaluate that against the tenets of Daubert for introduction. Really quickly to show you what capabilities are. Let's be open and honest here. Right now, let's take a look at this video. And the question really becomes, is this synthetic? Is this real? How do I prove authenticity? Now, everybody probably has an idea in their mind already whether this is real or not by looking at it. But it's hard to articulate that and prove that in court, whether it's real or not. So we usually, and as a community, as in the legal sphere, we rely on semantic metadata. And in the past, we have as well. Right now, we have some values here that would indicate that this writing application is SM-G781V, which is a Samsung cell phone. However, all the other actual metadata values don't really provide me any kind of information to think otherwise. I see at the bottom here another Samsung reference, another Android reference to what produced that video. As opposed to this video, we see here. And now the question is, how do we prove this is real or discern whether this is synthetically generated? Again, we go back to the metadata. Again, Samsung G781V and some different kind of metadata here. And I have another COM Android version, but I'll put my forensic examiner hat on for a second and say there really is no identifiable attribute aside from those couple entries that say Samsung, that really discerns one video file as being true or camera original or authentic, and the other one being generative. Now, this video file had that Samsung information in there. However, if we look at this from a structural aspect, we talked about looking at it, we talked about those video attributes, that metadata attributes. There's a third dimension we are just starting to exploit in digital forensics, when we examine the video files, that really gives deterministic results of provenance that allows us today, right now, to identify generative media. That first video file was absolutely generated, and it was generated by, if I go down a little bit here, identifying absent any kind of information that it was generated by Runway, which is a text-to-video generating platform, and their Generation 2 video product. Unequivocally, deterministically able to say that this is synthetic media encoding. On the other aspect is we have this true camera original video. We could use that same approach, and despite what the metadata values say, because remember, both those metadata values said Samsung on there. Why did it say Samsung? Because I altered them in the first one. I used some really quick editing tools, actually used ChatGPT and asked, how do I edit metadata to say that this video file is a Samsung? ChatGPT told me how. Told me the software to download, told me exactly how to go ahead and make those edits. In this case, we can deterministically say on the true camera original video file that we do have a Samsung S20, which is a type of device, proving that is camera original. This right here is what we see most often, the need today in terms of those ICAP prosecutions, the child sexual abuse prosecutions, is proving that these video files were generated on that device. So number one, either showing production when that is at the issue here, or actually proving originality or proving authenticity, that this is not a synthetic created video. This is not a generative video, and it is a live victim. It is a live child. We're
You have
also
5
starting to see
minutes
this a lot
remaining.
in some major crimes investigations, some violent crime investigations, where the video evidence is so key to that prosecution. We've seen even digital video recorder, DVR recorded evidence that claim by defense that this video evidence is not real. It is deepfaked, and to frame my client and implicate my client, and it was entirely created by the investigating agency. I will note something else, because I think this is imperative as we start talking about evidence that's posted online. I know I went through quickly. I will say we do have the tools right now, today, to deterministically, accurately, explainably, reliably differentiate between the video on the left and the video on the right when somebody claims I recorded those. When those videos are posted to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth, we lose a lot of that ability, because a lot of people like to think that the metadata that we talked about before is scrubbed, changed, removed, let's say when I post to YouTube. In reality, YouTube and every one of these other social media sites creates a brand new video. That initial video that was sent there is no longer in existence once that new video is created. Some of those attributes may be the same. However, it's, I'm going to say, almost pure coincidence that some of them that are the same. They're entirely generated by YouTube. In this case, it's unrealistic to expect any forensic examiner to be provided a download directly from an open YouTube link that will effectively authenticate this video absent other information. To put it succinctly, you can't take a video file, download it directly from the open web on YouTube, and expect to have a reliable authentication examination, just to set expectations. What you can do, sorry, I didn't realize at the end of the slideshow. What you can do is effectively serve legal process to YouTube, and the video file you get from YouTube is closer to the original, is closer because it changes as it streams. Those video files will have the requisite structural data to talk about the approach I just talked about, to provide a reliable examination. All to say that if we really want to authenticate video files that we see posted online, we can't rely on just downloading it from the open internet. We need legal process to the service provider to provide us a closer to the original video, as well as some other information to effectively authenticate it. There's a lot of other information that's available when you start serving legal process. I think we all know that probably sitting here, in terms of IP address, account owner information, and so on and so forth. But just to do this using open source tools to download an open URL or web page, I would not set any expectations that your video will withstand any kind of solid challenge in admissibility because of those challenges that are presented to it.